Hey, Megan.
Hello. Am I first here?
Yeah, looks like. Just waiting for Susie to finish her sing-along.
Sing-along?
Yeah, they do this sing-along in our block every Thursday at 7:40.
Oh, actually, I need to go out and clip. I'll be back. I forgot it was clipping day.
There we go, Stu. Hello, everyone. Barbara's here, Suze.
Barbara's here? Hello, friends.
Hi.
How's it going?
Barbara!
How are you? How's everyone doing?
Not bad. It's Seb there with you. It's just you.
Not today.
Where? Oh, why are you gonna hit me?
Where's that?
He's been doing the joggings. He's been jogging. I'm not. I prefer jiu-jitsu. I like you guys.
Let's get started, shall we? Sorry, that's it. It's from having our opponent in that armbar last time. We covered how to break grips from the armbar position. So my opponent's grabbing it by the far side. And this hand is up here, so underneath my leg. We covered spider webbing and leaning towards the feet, but there's also quite strong mechanics in that lean in this direction and just straight arming the elbow. So straight not going to work as well. So you want to lean down to the feet with a straight arm on the elbow here. So lean, that applies tension on the grip, so hold on tight. And now don't try and push it open, just as you fall, lock that arm straight. So here, locks it straight, and it will slip. So really want to use like the mechanics to fall, and things locked out, not bent. So remember with arm bars, we control with our forearm buried and crease of our elbow in the crease of theirs. If we ever want to switch arms, we do want to do sometimes, we slide one in, extract, and the other one slots in to that elbow again. So we've got control. Decent little tip. Hand should be cupping the hip here. If you cup high, you don't get sufficient tension, and it's easier for her to extract the elbow and get it down to the floor, which is one of the escapes you can do. So this hand should be reaching through, cupping the hip. If I want to replace it with this one, this hand comes through, so both hands are in at the same time. Extract, now still got decent control. So I'm going to go back here. I'm going to break this, straight arm, now lean to the feet, and it will slip. Letting go very early. So yeah, that's the idea. And it doubles up with the spider web, where you underhook the leg here to stop them running away from you. If we don't control the leg, we lean, Susie will walk her feet away from me, turn onto his knees, getting up here, and now she's stacking out of the armbar. So that's why we grab the leg. Also makes it more difficult for her to sit up on it. So we spiderweb, lean to the feet, top leg swings over, and heel gets in front of that elbow. You then kick this leg through, and now we're into our armbar. Good. So we'll cover some armbar defenses today. We'll start from close guard and just stacking out an armbar. So if you go onto your back, please. And close guard. We'll get everywhere. So my opponent has managed to drag my elbow across center. If she drags it a long way across, that exposes my back and she'll be attacking my back instead of the armbar. For the armbar, you want the elbow just to drift into the midline. What she'll then do is put her left foot on the hip, so the same side as my arm is that she's attacking. She'll use that to generate an angle, and then the left leg will kick and break my posture. Now I'm in the armbar. So where do we go from here? Bicep. And now, so we grab our bicep and cup the leg with this top arm. Now we have to stack. So it's all about this leg. That's what allows you to stack. So you pick this leg up and kick off of it, bringing your head above the line of your opponent's. It shouldn't go any further. You should and make nose above your opponent's nose. The moment I start drifting off that line, I lose my balance. So you want to tip of the nose, tip of the nose. Now she finds it difficult to extend her hips and attack my arms. So you've got to keep your weight down. Now from here, we extract the arm, we keep our head tight and heavy, and we only pull that arm out, keeping our head tight. We're controlling this top leg with both our arm and our head jammed into the side of it. If we don't and raise our head, this leg's going to come swinging over and we're going to get caught in triangles. Yeah. So you have to keep your weight down in the extraction part of the arm bar. So head tight and down, making sure it stays above the line of your opponent's head. I see this all too often. People get the stack properly and they keep going, they fall off and get their arm kicked. So keep the stack directly above your opponent's head. Extract the arm, keep your head heavy. Now from here, the extracted arm is going to reach across, cup in the shoulder, and we turn the corner. So right knee drops, pulling that leg past, and you've got to pass off that arm bar. Successful armbar defenses should really always lead to passes on close guard. So we get to here, we can set up our armbar defense early. So we put left foot onto the hip, Susie does, generates that angle, we see it, biceps taken, she steps over my head, and as this is coming in, I'm already picking this leg up and kicking off of it, bringing my weight up over my opponent. The foot will be in line with her spine. Yeah, we don't want to leave it out here. Up here, so we get better downward pressure now. From here, 1, 2, keeping the head low so she can't swim this leg over into triangles. Reach across the opposite side shoulder. The right knee now drift past her hip. So I'm pulling this so this knee travels forward. This knee is now going to attack her armpit on the opposite side. So my knee goes down, and there's my palm. So she's throwing in. She's got the arm dragged across here, and I'm stacking early. So you can save it a couple of times. She's almost got my arm extended. I bring my weight back and over. 1, 2, elbows out, pull the leg past, reach across. Instead of reaching across the other shoulder, this time just come in for cross space. This spare arm. Throw this across and into side control. So, standard armbar defense from close guard to start with. Any questions about that or any problems that you find you have of that? Please give me a shout. I'll give you a bit of time to write your notes, ask questions. If not, we'll just move on to the next one. Right. So, now, side control. We're caught in an armbar. I'll make sure we're in the camera. See. So sit down.
Spit straight into the armbar.
So we're caught in this armbar. One way of potentially getting out is to look to get to my knees. It's going to be very hard if I keep my legs closed here. So grip I like to take, you can take this cross grip, any grip you want, whatever you find strongest. What I look to do is walk my feet away and then turn on to my side. From here, feet on the floor, I kick in to my opponent. So I kick up and in to the stack. Then I can start looking to extract, and then we're back to our first defense. So I'm defending the armbar. Options. Walk your feet away. This normally works best when this top leg is light. And she will be leaning towards my feet a lot like this. So if we see that, we don't want her getting control, of my leg. So if she grabs my leg, I can't walk away and I can't sit up. So the moment we see our opponent lean, we make sure that we're already walking away. We start turning in, kicking off of our feet, getting our hips up off the ground and into our stack. I'm quite conscious of not applying too much pressure for Susie here, but that's how we get to it. You've got to get your feet traveling away from your opponent when they start leaning towards your feet. So here, she falls down onto her right side. My feet walk away. From here, I use my toes on the floor to kick off, getting my hips up off the ground, bringing this foot up, and now we're into our stack position. You got to stay calm here, keeping your head directly over your opponent. Start pulling. Once it's extracted, we drag the leg across and around side to foot. Last one. She leans. I'm not just sitting up into it. You can throw these legs. We can manipulate this position if you like by bringing our legs up and then throwing them down to help us sit up. This gives us enough momentum to get the weight off of my head. So this leg up and throw. What I see too much is people leaving their legs out here where they can get grabbed. So if you've done this, it's really important that you can do a circular motion with your leg. So up, throw down, legs out of the way of her arm. She can't grab it. So I've managed to get her sitting up, on the ground, kick up, and stack. So that's a good way of forcing your opponent to take weight off that leg and forcing the lean towards your feet. Legs up, throw them to the floor. As you sit up, make sure you whip your legs out to the side and straight into your stack position. Cool? So, any questions on that? Any thoughts? It can be about other things as well. This gets me a lot of trouble with this one, actually. Right. Another one of my favorites is clearing the top leg off of your head. So Susie has me in an armbar again. That way. Now, that's why a lot of people quite like this grip set to protect their arm. You have a spare arm in Nogi to clear this top leg off of your head. S grips, obviously, is a bit of a problem here in that you don't have a spare hand to clear this leg. So we do that here. In a gi, you can also grab your lapel and this hand's totally free to push that leg off. Okay. So from here, push the leg off of your head. This isn't enough. We've got to work our head above and onto my opponent's thigh. Once this head is up and on the thigh, we've got to get our shoulders over the top of the leg. So off of this, we bridge. We force the head up, and we start to bridge up until my shoulders hit the floor on the other side of her leg. To turn in, usual drill that we do to turn into our opponent, knee down onto the ground. So 3 points of contact I currently have: knee, shoulder, head. You keep your hips up the whole time, and your back into closed up. Do this on a few angles. Yeah. We clear this leg off of our head. We work our head in. We swim our head up and over onto the top of that thigh. Plant your feet and bridge to get both of your shoulders onto the floor. So bridge, shoulders on the ground. See, I keep my hips up the whole time. I do not drop my hips to the floor. I want them up. So the knee that is closest to Susie hits the ground. I keep my head and my shoulder on the floor. And there's me turning in out of the armbar into a closed bar. Not ideal, but certainly better than where we were. So we're in, feet are planted. We use our hand to push this leg off, swim our head up and onto the thigh, right? From here, plant your feet, bridge. Shoulders hit the ground, knee turns in, keep driving the head into the floor, and into your closed guard. Probably one of the more basic armbar escapes, but I just want you to have as many potential options there getting out of it. So, one of my favorites, also like hitchhiker. Any questions coming out, guys? Nope. Right, next one, hitchhiker. You'll see what they call it that now. So this is last gasp. My grip has been broken. My arm is now straight. So you see here, I can manipulate the application of this armbar by pointing my thumb down to the ground. So here. So this hides my elbow just a little bit, gives me a little bit of time. Don't get me wrong, Susie will find it very easily to manipulate my elbow back center and pointing my thumb up to the ceiling again. So I can just turn that thumb to the floor, so you pull it back, just takes a bit of pressure off that elbow. So this gives me time to look to walk my feet away from my opponent. So very similar to the other escape, I want my feet walking this way. But I also want my hips turning that way as well. So the other escape, I forced her to sit up, my feet walked away, and I turned my hips into my opponent into a stack. This one, your hips should be facing the opposite way as your feet walk away here. So to sit up into a stack, I can throw legs down and out to the side, hips turning in. So hitchhiker out, it would be hips this way, walk away. Here. Now, walk, sofa is in the way. Out. So, thumbs pointed, we walk, and now we turn onto our knee. Now we get to this position. Now it's hugely important that my hand swims, cups the hip, and my head now drives in. So she can't turn into me. And now we use this position to turn the corner of our head, moving up, inclined to side control. So this is last gasp. I find it doesn't really work too well in the club because I teach a very heavy, low leg. If Susie keeps this heel digging into my rib cage and has very solid, heavy legs, it's quite hard to get your hips moving away. And this is really active the whole time. Okay, so it makes both escapes a little bit harder because it really restricts how far I can move my hips. So I really stress heavy legs. Turn your heels into your opponent's rib cage when you're applying arm bars. Far better control. Heels in tight, really active. To make your legs active and stronger, flare your toes. You can't curl your heels to your butt powerfully with your feet limp. activate your toes, try getting them up to your shins, and that curl will be a lot stronger. So, hitchhiker, arm is straight. I point my thumb to the floor. I turn my hips away. I can use this spare hand if I want to try and get a bit of pressure off of this lower leg to make it easier for me to turn into my opponent. My feet turn. Once I'm in the same, my feet are running the same way as her feet. I turn onto my front. My hand that she's attacking will swing, cupping that hip. My head will start moving up, just in the corner, into a side control. And that's your hitchhiker escape. So, yeah, if there's any questions of that one, please pick them out.
Hello. I mentioned the lower leg stopping like the escape, but whenever I'm trying to escape an armbar, it's usually because my head is being crushed by the top leg. Is there any way to like alleviate that a little bit?
You can use the rear naked choke escape grip, so the one where you're grabbing your bicep, and use this hand and just cup underneath the thigh. That can take quite a lot of weight off. Yeah, and helps. So if we haven't got our arms straight, it leads into a lot of other escapes off of that. But take a bit of weight off your face and that heel there. Take the bicep and cup under the thigh. But it's not a pleasant place to be. It's not meant to be. That's it. So yeah, answer to that. Take a bit of weight off that leg by using this hand.
Well, but she's saying she's got a lot of pressure in the face.
So this hand under the thigh, and it will help take a bit of weight off of your face. I find this really uncomfortable as the person applying the armbar when they work this hand under here. I don't ever feel like I've got set control. So get this hand under, it'll take a lot of the weight off. You can then start look to clear this leg off of your head, or start to look to free your elbow by turning in and slipping your elbow to the ground. Which moves us on to the next escape. I'm able to free this elbow, slide it to the floor. Happens a lot, particularly sparring with people who are pretty new. So what you'll get early on, white and blue, is people trying to break your grips in arm bars by leaning straight backwards as hard as they can and pulling as hard as they can. This parts the chest from my elbow. So the more she leans, see there's no control now on this arm. So here, you turn your hips in, and I can slip my elbow down to the floor. Now I don't just want to get up here. I've got to make sure as I come up, I keep control over this top leg. So this spare hand that wasn't being attacked, the hand comes and cups the thigh. Now we can clear the arm entirely, coming up into the top position, and again, turning the corner into side control. So you can look to get this elbow down to the floor. And you always test it out, even against high-level people. Try to turn in a little bit, try to get that elbow to slip down onto the ground past their hips. If you manage that, you're safe. Just don't get up into triangles.
I have a question.
Yes.
So I know that this is wrong, straightening out that leg. But a lot of people do it, and especially people do bitchy things with it, but then they go face and wiggle it. Yeah. What's your counter to that? Would you react differently if they've got straight legs?
So, if they're playing a very heavy leg control, what I would do is, so as soon as he tries to be really heavy with this leg, it actually makes it easier for you to force them that way. If they're playing a slightly lighter top leg, this isn't anywhere near as effective. But if Susie goes very heavy with that leg, I've got a very strong, I'm moving the table away, because I'm very likely to break it. So bring the legs up here. You see the sort of reaction I get now. So if she's playing very heavy on the top leg, this picking your leg up and throwing it down catapults them down onto this side. It's a little bit easier to do that. You can take a bit of pressure off your neck by looking away as well. So if they're going straight down, look away, slightly less uncomfortable. If they're playing really heavy and dropping that leg in, you can throw your legs down and force them to lie towards your feet, where you can then turn it back into a stand by walking your feet away and getting to your knees. And that's coming apart.
No, they're not. Everything's fine, just like that.
Right. So that's a collection of armbar escapes I wanted to show you guys. So hopefully the position doesn't concern you as much anymore. In terms of counter submissions, there aren't very many. Actually, I've got another escape to show you. So if my arm does get straightened, you can push this lower leg up and above your head. So if you find yourself in this position, happens a lot, but high-level people will take these sort of controls on the arm. You get tighter finishes, and it's a lot harder for them to disrupt. If you find you're in this situation, your job is to get this knee past your near side ear. So here, if I sit up and this knee stays in front of my face, she's breaking my arm. So this hand has to push, and now when I come up, my head's past the knee, the arm bar isn't on anymore. So if you find yourself in a position where your opponent's taking like a triangle here, your job, don't sit up immediately. First, clear, then come up past the knee. Once you're past the knee, you'll be fine on this arm bar. So here, clear the knee here, pass. If I'm doing the applying, I will make sure that I turn towards my opponent's feet. So Susie will turn this way. So you see it makes it a lot harder now for me to get this knee up and past my ear. So here, clear it past the ear, turn the corner, inside. Yeah, it's the last one, just a little bit of ground. That happens to be one of my favorite ways of applying arm bars. Like, people are very good at disrupting your heavy legs, particularly. So as you're setting up the position, good fighters will be pushing these legs and getting them out where they should be. So the position I move to, if I'm unable to stabilize this double leg across position, is, so if Susie starts pushing this up, this foot comes here, next to the near side here. And then I will immediately fall onto my right side. Here. I'm not pinching my knee so much, I'm just running my shin across the line of Susie's shoulder. And I make sure that my knee goes as heavy to the floor as possible, so she can't lift it up and pull it past her ear. This foot, I look to get underneath my opponent's head. So I've locked up a triangle on the arm. And you get some of the tightest armbar finishes here because you've nailed that shoulder to the floor. One thing that can take a little bit of pressure off of an armbar is to raise your shoulder off the ground. So if Susie does that and turns away totally onto her side, theoretically, it shouldn't come on anywhere near as early as what it does if I keep the shoulder on the floor. So you see here, I'm already starting to hip up, comes on a little bit late, you get a click on the elbow, but Susie's all right. So you can buy yourself a little bit of time by turning away and getting this shoulder as high up off the ground as you can. Do it with me. So here, I turn, I keep my shoulder high, and I'm cool, until you get a little bit more time to turn away. and raise the shoulder up.
He was tapping while he said he was cool, just saying.
You got me. Good armbar. So, yeah, those are, I think, all of the armbar escapes I know.
Friend,
Yes.
do we still do the armbar where we have the bottom foot like on their ribs, and do all those escapes work if the top leg isn't across the body, if the bottom leg isn't across the body?
I think so, yeah. So the point Barbara's making is sometimes this lower leg is not over the other side, it's under this side of our opponent's body. Whenever you're doing that, by the way, and applying the armbar, this foot should wrap around the shoulder here. So you don't want it just underneath the ribs here, you want it hooking the shoulder. Here, heavy knee pinch. So yeah, most of them would still work. Susie could sit up here. So grab the bicep. Susie could sit up, walk her feet away, and stack me. Absolutely. Come back. One of the other escapes we had, hitchhikers definitely would work because I don't have the control of this leg on the other side. So you see Susie can turn, that's it, turn onto her knees, cut the hip, and turn the corner like that. That's very good. So yeah, all those escapes would still work even with your foot on the near side.
When do you put your foot on the other side of Monday?
Quite like off of knee on belly, armbars, you fall off into that. I think what other ones?
Do you feel that you have significantly less control with it on the near side or not really?
I don't favour either position super heavily. I do what is the closest control of the position I'm currently in. So if it's an extra step for me to get to foot on near side, I won't do it. If it's an extra step for me to get foot onto the far side, I won't do it. I'll take whatever control is closest to my current position and on the armbar entry. So I bounce between the two of them. I'm not like, shit, I'm in the wrong armbar control. I want to get back to this one. The three major ones would be foot, near side, hooking the shoulder with heavy leg over the head, legs over the other side, and a triangle with the top leg under the head and lower knee onto the floor. So you can cycle between those three variations in how to control the armbar. And you should have escapes off of each one of them. So hook the shoulder, leg over the other side, push it up, and into the triangle. We need to figure out a fancy move now. Does anyone have any questions about any other moves, any other positions that they would like to troubleshoot? I went through the techniques a little bit quicker than what I thought I would.
Ross, I'm just wondering how risky that hit escape is, because when I do try it against like a higher belt, like a purple belt, they know it's coming kind of thing usually.
Oh, the hitchhiker one.
It's because Caesar teaches it a lot. I'm pretty sure I've seen him teach it all the time. And every time he teaches it, I'm like, fucking stop it. Stop it. I use that.
That as well, right? So I put myself, I get caught in an armbar, and I'd be like, all right, I'll just do the hitchhiker. And people have got really good armbar control in that gym. So I go for the hitchhiker, and I get stuck because of the very heavy lower leg. I think it's the sort of thing you have to go for in the acute phase of them setting up the armbar, right? So I find percentages on any technique. Drop. I'm talking, this is quite high level of conceptual stuff now, but drop if I'm, so Susie's been in an armbar for a little bit, and then she decides to straighten her arm. it's likely that during that time I've set up a very strong armbar control. But maybe I've just shot the armbar from a side control point. Sorry. So I've pulled the arm up, I step across, I'm already dropping in for the armbar, but Sue's already running away from me. Yes. So that was really clean and good. So I think probably a hitchhiker escapes, you have to identify the entry and then be ready to go into it off of that. That's where I have my success off the hitchhiker. It's where can I really be asked to defend this armbar that she's obviously going from side control? I'll defend it in the position itself and get the jump on that kind of thing. You see, Susie did that beautifully. I didn't need to show that.
Question.
Yes.
Presumably, the thumb sticking out doesn't actually help anything. It's about rotating your wrist.
Yeah. So just point your elbow to the ceiling, point your thumb to the floor, which obviously is bending the correct way for a hitch to drive through it. So the idea is that you play with the angle of your elbow. Okay, so you can get a minor bit of rotation to take pressure off the armbar, rotating your elbow.
So in the battle of Ross's students versus Caesar's students, if they're learning how to counter the hitchhiker, don't stick your thumb out because they'll know you're doing the hitchhiker and put the top leg heavy.
I'd say with defending, with looking to go for successful hitchhikers, you've got to go for it kind of before you're stabilized in that armbar position. So like I showed, side control, obvious armbar coming in. As she's setting up the control in the armbar is when you go immediately. So yeah, maybe think about doing that. Cool. That was a good question though.
I have an odd question, a bendy question.
Go on then.
My preferred escape that I've started doing, but I've never been taught, and I'm pretty sure it's not a thing, but I'm asking in case it is a thing and there's more details. I like to catch the bottom leg with my legs and then roll into them.
Yeah, that's another way of like, so theoretically, if you can force this down and catch it, they shouldn't be able to armbar you. And even if they manage to, well, yes, they can, but you can slip your elbow out here. So absolutely, it really disrupts the leg pinch. So if you're able to push this leg down and inside your leg, that makes it very difficult for Susie now to control my arm. So collecting this leg is a great idea. What I would do off of this position is look to slip my elbow, which now should be quite easy because she's unable to pinch her legs. Cuff the thigh, extract the leg entirely, extract the arm entirely, and then come up to my knees here. And again, look to turn the corner out of the arm bar. Good question. Another escape to add to your list. If you can push that down, look to clear your near side elbow down to the ground and get to your knees to escape. Very similar to the other ones, but yeah, great idea. I find that's hugely annoying.
Because I don't think in the past I've put my elbow on the ground and I've just sort of like tried to wriggle out, but the person's been like massive.
Yeah, no, if you can push that leg down, definitely then you slip your elbow, but make sure that I'm big on moving to positive positions off of negative ones. So I don't want to see push down on the leg and be like, yeah, I'm out, like I'm cool, and then back to tapping. You should be looking to turn this into a dominant position for yourself. So the moment your elbow's out, I want you guys cupped in the hip, coming up and immediately applying pressure onto your opponent and taking that pass. It's your turn to dish out the punishment there. So yeah, last one on that one. So We're defending, we use our hand to push, we collect the leg. You can start now sitting up, getting the elbow to the ground, reaching across the other hip. Once your lower arm is out, you can use it to push off the floor, come up into the top position. You can either turn the corner or hip switch through. Because you've got, we shimmy this way, that's it. Keep on going off the camera. Because we have come up to here and collected the leg, we've got passing options here as well. If we're struggling to switch our hips because she's framing on them or something, that's when we can go around the other side. But yeah, absolutely. Collect that lower leg, get your elbow to the floor, and then get up into your opponent. Turn the corner. People are getting more chatty now. I'm liking this. Any other questions? I think what else we got?
How many times has Susie beaten you during this lockdown?
Oh, every day. I can't win. She's better than me now.
Can I
hope this never happens again. Ever.
Can I share a link to the best animated armbar, triangle to armbar switch I've ever seen?
Yeah, go on. Yeah,
Right. So
I won't look at it now, but yeah, definitely send it.
you should all watch.
Ugh. Oh, another pet peeve. People don't know how to defend knee bars. They're really easy to defend. If you see them early, if you identify them early. So we'll talk about that a little bit. Maybe we can move on to that in the next batch. So like a standard.
Please, I got knee barred really badly before jiu-jitsu ended and my knee's still sore.
Like, honestly, it's not hard to defend. So like one of the probably most common knee bar entries, you'll see half guard knee, right? The person is suspiciously underhooking this leg. They posture up. This lower knee that is not inside the half guard will go across your opponent's stomach and onto the ground. So we go this way. I sit into our knee bar. Now Susie has made biggest error in the world when defending a knee bar here. She faces me, right? What you want to do, all Susie needs to do to defend this is stay facing that way. Come back again. If you find yourself in a position where your opponent's got a heavy knee pinch, and it's exactly the same as pointing your thumb a different direction in an armbar. So if Susie's foot points that way, so point your toes to the ceiling. I lose the angle on the knee to drive my hip through it correctly. So what Susie's got to do, though, is disrupt the knee pinch first. So she does that by going up, sit up, grabbing my knee with both hands, levering it open, and turning that way. Now she is totally out of this. Right? So if somebody ever goes to attack a knee bar, identify the entry, turn early if you can. So Susie, if she sees it early, before I stabilize it with that heavy knee pin. Yeah. So if I come across, Susie just stays turning this way. It screws up the whole thing. Don't bend the leg though. She wants to keep it straight. Yes, because it's you limit. So contours on your body are things that I can control. Something that's bent has loads of contours. Something that's straight is slippery as hell to hold on to. So normally when you want to clear your leg out of the leg lock and keep straight. That's why one of the worst things you can do is cross your legs, I think. Effective leg lock is keep a straight leg to make it as slippery as possible to extract it. So Susie finds herself in the knee bar position with my knees pinched heavy. She'll sit up, she'll force the knees open, and she'll turn that way early, and she's out. So she'll point her toes like a ballerina for this one, and keep her hips facing, keep her knee facing the same direction as my hips, and she's fine. So where you go from here, probably just look to extract the leg. That's it. She'll get the foot on, clear the leg, and out. But I see this all too often. Susie will do the knee bar on me. So she'll come up into a half guard. She'll put this knee on the floor, please. She'll throw this leg over at the outside. She'll sit down, and I just look at her butt as she goes round. Don't do that. So what we want to do with this one is just look the other way. There's your defense. She is not knee barred me ever now. Try knee barring me. Gone. So it's as simple as turn in the correct direction. Yeah. So yeah, please, everyone write that down. Knee bar defense. And I know it's not allowed until brown belt for a lot of people, particularly in the gi and stuff. But if somebody throws it on you, you know how to defend it. It's the safest way to go about doing things. Assume they can do anything to you, and know how to defend heel hooks, knee bars, whatever. It's pretty simple. Just make sure that you turn your knee to face away from your opponent's hips. Susie can do things that makes that a little bit harder for me to do, like grabbing my toes, for instance, and looking to manipulate the direction my knee is facing. So, Susie right now. So I can jam my head on my opponent's toe. So if Susie tries turning this way now, you see the toe point.
You did the jiu-jitsu.
Very slippery.
Or else
If I keep her, just come back. If her foot stays like this, I can stop her from turning away from me. So the toe point on the leg makes it slippery, which means now she can turn away and get out the knee bar.
I'm so glad you know this. Sebastian loves to knee bar me like out of nowhere when we haven't discussed it as a rule in our sparring sessions. So.
Point your hip, just point your knee the other way. It's easy. And if there's something stopping you from pointing the knee, that ballerina toe point. So if they're grabbing your foot to keep the knee in line with the hips, ballerina toe point makes that slippery, and then allows you to turn, point your knee away from your opponent's hip. And the earlier you see the knee bar, safer it is. Oh. One of my favorite tournament submissions I've ever hit in my life was in a tournament called King of the Beach in Eindhoven. It was so it's on a lake in Eindhoven, and it's an outdoor tournament, so it's in a tent. But jump in the lake after for a wash, and I won weight and absolute there. But my semi-final match was my opponent, and he was a bit full of himself. He was like one of the, you're gonna run through it. And so he went for a knee bar on me. I slipped out of it and hit a counting knee bar on him. It was like, I'm gonna dig up that video, one of my favorite subs I've ever hit. Well, please. And then in the final, I beat somebody that looked like he should be in a Bond movie as a bad guy. He had a scar running from his belly button up to his sternum. Fucking tattoos over his chest. And lots of metal teeth. And ginormous. He was a super heavyweight. It was scary. Anyway, that's my tournament story.
Was that guy quite intimidating though?
A bit, yeah, a little bit scared. a good day. Right, guys, have another fun day of lockdown tomorrow.
Before we go, can we see the cat, please?
See the cat?
Yes. Not yet. No. Is it Ines' cat?
Oh. Who's got a cat?
Oh, my cat.
Yeah.
She's gone. She's gone. She had enough of me.
No, bring the cat.
We're all waiting for the cat.
I'm going to leave the meeting. I'm going to close the meeting to save you, Ennis. Guys, all have a lovely weekend.
Have a lovely weekend.
Bye.
Thank you.
See you guys.
See you this year, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.